What's up, summoners? King Blade here. Today we're going to be talking about Hell Raid comprehensive guide to every single boss. So it is going to be a massive video. So if you want, make sure to skip to the boss that you want to hear about. I'll be covering the mechanic, the team I personally use, and then the team that I recommend to you guys and why each unit is needed, and kind of use like a sample free-to-play team. Which may or may not work. I can't test it, but it follows the idea and it'll help you guys think of your own teams with your units. So make sure to like and subscribe this video for future content. Make sure to subscribe because there's a lot of good content out there. And if you want me to, I will also show you the team I talked about and try to make a free-to-play version and actually beat the boss with some of those teams that I mentioned in here if you guys want to see that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I will hover over the bosses and talk about the mechanics. Because if you want to skip so that way you can see the picture, it's like, oh, he's talking about that boss. I can stop here and kind of listen. So, I gotta save my voice because we're gonna be using it a lot. So if you guys didn't know, Hell Lobby, something you want to clear every month. It resets on the month. We have 11 days, 5 bosses. You want to do this every day, every month, because that means every month you get a level 88 guaranteed sub-statted equipment from just clearing all the bosses. And the gear that you can get from the shop in this place is freaking amazing. It's probably some of the best gear that's out there right now, and most of like my OP characters have apart from the Hell Lobby. That's how important it is, and some of them even have it from this. So make sure you have to do it every month. It's something that if you don't do, you're hurting yourself. So let's talk about it. So first boss, we'll start by order of difficulty. So first is Devourer Arahakan. You won't have the teleport feature at first, so you have to make sure you clear this one first, because this one is by far the easiest. At worst, it's a stat check. If you've never done it, you probably are able to already do it. You just don't know, or you just don't know what units to take or how the mechanics work. But if you can clear the Abyss, you already know how to clear this guy. So this guy, super easy, but we'll talk about him. So the way this boss works is he spawns in with 2 of these little nuggets. I'm gonna call them nuggets. But they basically are just there to make your life miserable. You have to kill them first. It says you should. It's not highly recommended you kill them. It's you have to kill them first, because if you don't, the boss will never cast his ultimate, which is the ultimate basically pushes your whole team back 50% and decreases your speed. So essentially, you want them to do that, because if he has his ultimate at full stacks, he becomes immune to debuffs and you basically do no damage to him, and this cannot be dispelled. So you have to kill these guys. It doesn't tell you that. Hate it. It's annoying. You'll probably fail it once just because you're not familiar with the mechanics. But basically the idea is you kill these guys, boss casts his ultimate, brings them back, you have to kill them again, and then you can go on the boss. And the boss doesn't have that much health. Honestly, you could probably one-shot him if you get him close to half health. But the other mechanic that he has is when he hits half health, his ultimate automatically comes back. So you have to be careful of that ultimate, because when the ultimate comes back, if the guys are still alive, he will basically become immune to everything, and then you're gonna fail the run. So biggest thing for this boss is having the damage to A, kill the little guys, and B, kill him, because you have to have high amount of damage. You cannot stall out this fight. A lot of people bring very tanky teams to this. No, don't do that. Bring a more aggro comp. I guarantee you'll have a way better time. Does that mean that you're not bringing any supportive units? No, by any means. The other thing you have to know is that when his ultimate is off, which is the time you can do damage for him, he also makes you unable to be buffed, as you see in his passive. This basically says it all. When a character can reuse immunity and basically doesn't take any damage, and when it's down, you can do damage to him, but you cannot buff yourself or push yourself with CR manipulation. So make sure that one, it doesn't tell you, but you can, oh yeah, it's right there. Unable to receive combat readiness increase effects. So it really makes it so it's you versus him, no buffs, just you versus him. But the buffs you already had will stay. The only thing you have to remember for that fight is kill the little guy. So let me show you the team that I use for this. And I basically have 100% clear with this team. It's not that crazy. I'll also show the stats. It's gonna take a while if I show all the stats of all my units. That'll probably be a video of its own, but just know my Lilius is honestly not that strong. But the team I use is Lilius, Spectre T. I know you guys are gonna be like, Oh, Spectre T broke, and she's really good. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I have some pretty meta units, and which is why this boss is so easy for me. And then last but not least, I use Bologna. So this boss is not immune to damage based on health. So Daydream Joker is godlike. Bologna is amazing because she does mad damage against the boss. But that's specific unit. So why do I pick this team? So a lot of the teams you'll see in all the guides will have a knight, a healer, and 1 to 2 damage unit, and or a partial support depending on what the boss is. So for this team, the Lilius is there to remove the decreased speed, because if you have decreased speed and you can't increase your combat readiness, that boss is gonna smack you. The other thing that makes Lilius so good is she is a Aureus holder, so she takes 20% of the damage for the rest of my team, which makes the runs a lot safer, makes it so my squishy units, like my Spectre T, is not taking high damage, my Bologna isn't taking high damage. So having a knight really, really helps. Healer, it's like a must-have. Again, Tamarine is the best because it's aggressive. Same with Lilius. Lilius is aggressive. She has the cleanse, but she also has the dual attack chance. For her, she also has the dual attack chance, which is why I use her here. She is not necessarily the best one here though, because ideally, in a perfect run, you never have the chance to get any buffs or combat readiness, because you kill those little guys once, and you already should be able to, before his turn comes up, get him to have health, force him to use the ultimate again, reset, and then fight again. You rarely will get a chance to actually get the buffs from her. So she's just there literally for the heals and for the dual attack chance. Spectre T, high single target damage, can kill the little guy super fast, can poison, makes it run a lot easier. Bologna, 2 forms of defense break, can immune herself at the beginning of the fight if needed, and can also has really high single target damage against bosses, which makes it so if I land a defense break on that boss, I will be able to get him below 50% health in like 1 or 2 of the rotations. So that's the team I use. So for you guys, what you guys got from that is A, you need a knight. So Lilius, do you have to have Lilius? No. There's another really good knight that I actually think is better, and it's also free to play. So if you have him, amazing unit. You should honestly build this guy. At Specialty Change Ross. So I don't have a Specialty Change. I need to. He's on the list along with General Purgus, but he is a beast in all the labyrinths. So for this one, he's able to decrease defense, which is broken, and he heals himself, and he's a knight, so Aureus holder. That's all you need. Healer, honestly, y'all, this is the only healer you need for this fight, and that's going to be Montmorency. Where's Montmorency? I can never find them. I'm still not used to like how I have the layout, because she should be right here. So Montmorency, again, super basic. In the single target damage dealer, I'm gonna put my Lorena, but you can have a Lorena, and this will make your runs so much easier to be able to do for you guys. She's honestly the best unit for a lot of this content, because she has such single target damage. The last slot, I highly recommend another damage dealer for this fight. Someone who can also do some AoE and who can also defense break. So this one, I'm gonna leave up to you guys. You can use your Alexa, you can use your Sigrid, you can use Vivian, you can use Champ C. Champ C would also be really, really good. Yes, he's not free to play, but you know, he's really, really good. Again, all you need in this last slot is someone who can do high damage. You can use anyone that will do high single target / multiple target damage is who you want on that slot. So this team, technically, you could probably do it with 3 units. Would it be safe? No, unless you have really good gear. So last slot, very, very up to you guys. Very like out there for you guys. So very easy for you guys to try to think of what you want to take in that slot. So I know it's not exclusive, but it's just literally anyone who could do damage at that point. And then you have your team for Devourer Arahakan. So that's boss 1 down. Next boss up. Next easiest boss, because the level's not that high. Executioner Karkanis. So this boss, all you need to know is he comes with 2 guys who are basically his bodyguards, who strip buffs and apply debuffs. Usually attack decrease. And it's pretty annoying. They're pretty annoying. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Executioner Karkanis. Burst 100%. He does a single target attack that can defense break, which is pretty annoying. This skill is pretty freaking annoying. He also, if you attack him with a debuff, you have a 50% chance to miss. So that's his passive as well. So if he has debuffs, it makes it so from debuffs and enemies can attack following a successful evasion displaying debuffs. So yeah, if you have a debuff and you don't hit him, he's gonna counterattack with a defense break, which you don't want. And he also gets a stat increase. So you do not want to miss on this guy. You do not want to touch him if you have a debuff on your team. That's the big part of this game. The other mechanic that he has is when he drops to like 70% and like 30% and like all throughout the fight, he'll kind of go invisible. So he'll decide to go like stealth, and you have to have someone who has an AoE skill. And then once he gets to 30%, he will get his last, which is his ultimate, which basically attacks the whole team with a chance to stun. And if it follows up after his basic attack, so if he defense breaks you, does this and gets you down below 50% at the beginning of the attack, you're not gonna have a good time because he basically will kill that unit. So pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It can get pretty scary near the 30% mark, which is where you need to be ready for him. Right before that 30%, buff up, heal up, immunity, do whatever you need to make sure you do not get murked by this guy. So how does the team work? So the team I take to this one is very similar to the, it's actually like, this is for you guys who have been playing a long time. Seaside Bellona for this fight is honestly like probably one of the most broken things. It makes the boss become like easy mode. The next one is also Lilius instead of Ross. I'm not going to put her there because I'm going to have to put Ross again. But it's Lilius there, Montmorency, and then in the back, of course, again, as I mentioned, my single target damage dealer, who is Spectre Tenebria. So Spectre Tenebria would usually go in the place where Lorena is. So that's a team that I usually take to Executioner Karkanis, because there, Spectre T has the normal attack that can hit more than one target, so I have a chance. Seaside Bellona is an AoE god. I just saved the third skill. Lilius, again, able to dispel debuffs, AoE attack. Montmorency is there to give immunity and to strip debuffs. I'm telling y'all, Montmorency is probably like the MVP for all Hell Labyrinth. Along with Tamarine. I think I actually used Tamarine. Like, I started with this team, and then I eventually moved to Tamarine. So now let's talk about a free-to-play version. So similar to before, having a knight that has defense break, Ross, again, is amazing here. He's a knight, he gives you Aureus, he decreases defense, he dual attacks with you, he gives you increased defense buff, and he also heals himself, so he has his own sustain, so you don't have to waste Montmorency's ultimate on him. Montmorency will make sure you have no debuffs, so your damage dealers are able to actually do damage on the damage dealer and be able to not get hit by but be missed and then him have counterattack. The next one, the one that's free to play, would be Commander Lorena. If you don't have her, Luna works too. Alexa works. Just any water unit, because Execution Karkanis is going to be a fire unit. Pro tip right here: do not bring a wind unit. Do not bring a Charles. Do not bring a Violet. Do not bring anyone that's Earth, because if you miss on them, he will take out all the debuffs that you put on him and murk you. So that's the big one. On this last lap, I would highly recommend having someone who has a consistent way, like 1 or 2 skills to be able to AoE. Long time ago, I would used to put my CC instead of the Ross, and she'd have 2 AoE attacks to be able to clear it. Another really good single target damage dealer, who's actually one of the best, and he's also free to play, is Soul Bad Guy. He can basically almost one-shot the boss, and he counterattacks. Another really good unit in this slot, if you have him, is Champ C. But again, you just want someone who has another type of AoE attack. So I'll do it for this one. I'll do it like this. So again, same kind of core. You guys see that it's a very similar core that you change here and there. And that is usually enough for you to be able to clear it. Other notable units, honestly, I don't have any of the AoE units. But anyone who's able to hit multiple units. A really good one is Dizzy, but you have to be careful with Dizzy because she misses on her ultimate. So you're risking giving the boss a lot of more damage. You can even put your BBK in here and you probably would be okay with this team. Just make sure they're beefy and make sure they're above, I would say above 13k HP, because there is a chance the boss will attack them. So that's why also you want Ross to be in there, because Ross will be able to make sure that you stay above that 50% threshold. So that's the team I would take. Of course, Seaside is by far the best one on that stage. You could take a Kairon. You could take Cerise. Cerise would be great too. That would also be a pretty good last slot if you really want. Just have someone be able to decrease defense and restrict. So pretty solid. But big thing, as long as you have a high single, a lot of the times you'll see me say the same thing, high single target damage, 1 or 2 AoE skills, and then a dedicated healer that's able to heal your whole team. You can also use Blaze Dingo if you feel like you don't have enough heals. But for this boss, you should be okay with just Montmorency, because you really need to invest in your Montmorency. But all right, next boss in order of difficulty. So this one, honestly, it's not Secretary Vera. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, it is not Secretary Vera. Secretary Vera is actually kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's actually the Jubilee Cord. So we'll talk about the Jubilee Cord first. So Jubilee Cord is basically the exact same as she was in normal. The only thing that they added is once you get below 30%, she starts getting buffs, and the buffs are like a thick barrier and like increased defense, and it's super tilting, it's super annoying. But the boss is honestly really easy when you really get down to it. All you need is sustain, 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 and high single target damage and no debuffs. If you guys haven't fought ever, you guys should probably watch a normal Labyrinth first, but you guys should know that basically she splits off into 3 once you get her to 33%, splits up again once you get her to like 30%, and then the only thing that they added is the buffs at the end and the scaling with attack and defense. So what about this one? Who did I personally take for this one? I took Luna, who I'm going to put here because she's honestly really good for this one. Luna, Lilius, who I'm going to keep Ross in there because Ross, again, is really freaking good. Ross, Montmorency, and Tamarine. Do you need Tamarine? No, you do not need Tamarine for this one. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't have Tamarine. I'm screwed. What am I going to do? So all you need is another healer in this slot. This could be anyone. I'm going to put Angelica just because, but you have to make sure that they can keep up with the heals because the boss does do a lot of work. The biggest thing you need for this boss is a single target damage dealer and a way to deal with the buffs. You know who is someone who's able to deal with buffs? This guy. This guy's able to deal with buffs. With his S1, you can just put him on auto. He'll eventually hit the buff, take it out, and you'll be able to go ahead and attack. R-key near the end. Save your R-keys for when you're at the 30%. So when you get that strip, you're able to do it. This team would probably honestly be able to clear it if they were maxed out. Because all you need is single target. Again, that could be a Lorena. No debuffs. So this is why this is good. You can use the S2 on Ross on the mini boss, which is what makes it really freaking nice. So that's why you want the Ross in there for that small boss when the boss starts burning you. That's what you want him there. So overall, this guy, really probably one of the easiest ones. It's honestly just have someone who can strip buffs. So if you have Tamarine, she's the best because that gives you another layer of protection. Lilius is good because she dual attacks, so you have a chance to dual attack with Tamarine and dispel the buffs. And also with your single target damage dealer, makes the boss go faster. That's why I use the Lilius. So again, pretty easy boss. I honestly put it on auto for the most part because it was like, this guy I just literally just need to sustain an attack. And a lot of people want to like rush it. Nah, just take it easy, you know, like you'll get there eventually, you know, you arcade it out. Even though he does scale, but by the time you get him to 30%, it resets, so it's not that big of a deal. All right, next boss, Secretary Vera. Now this guy is probably single-handedly the boss that I lost the most to because his fight is just so confusing until you actually read every single freaking skill that he has because he has 3 stages that you have to worry about. So how do you beat, what does this boss do? So first, this boss, you need to have AoE and you need to have, again, what I've been saying, high single target damage. And another must have in this boss is reliable defense breaks. Because if you do not have a reliable defense break, you are going to get murked. So basically, first stage, he comes in as this, and he comes in with 4 little eggs. And these eggs take like 2 to 3 turns to hatch. They should never get to that point. And the mechanic of this boss is that when he has the eggs out, if you attack him with a single target skill, meaning if you use like Lorena and you attack him while there are eggs, he will counterattack and you will lose. You will lose. And this will trigger on dual attacks. This will trigger on everything. So make sure, do not attack him if there are eggs or other monsters in the first stage. The first thing you need to do is kill all of the eggs, and preferably you want to do it with an AoE skill that is able to kill them. That's all you need. Kill the eggs and then kill him. Then he goes to the second stage at 50%. Second stage, he becomes a massive egg, and he gets these 2 bodyguards who are going to be there for the rest of the fight. And these bodyguards, this is Vera's shade, is basically what he becomes, but these are the bodyguards. These dudes are there just to make your run inconsistent and for you to try to make you lose. Wow, there are so many bosses and they don't let me see the monsters anymore. That is so annoying. Oh yeah, they're right there. So these guys, literally just there to decrease your combat readiness by 100%. And if they get their ultimate, debuff you so you can't do damage to them. Super annoying. But for this stage, the most important thing, you have 2 turns of damage to essentially kill the egg form of Secretary Vera. Why? Because if you don't kill it, if you don't kill this guy, he will come back on his 3rd stage OP as hell. So you do not want to get to that point. At that point, you basically just lost. So you have to make sure you kill him in the 2 turns allotted. And it's really easy if you have a high single target damage dealer and a defense break. If you do not have a defense break, you're not going to be able to kill him in 1 shot, and you run the risk of failing the run. So who do I use for this team? And what team can you use? So again, with all of them, I don't think there's a team that I didn't take Lilius. So I took Lilius in the front because she dispels debuffs. You know, like the guys that apply some debuffs with their ultimate, want to be able to dispel it. Tamarine, again, because Tamarine OP, she has AoE, she has increased attack, she has increased combat readiness, and she can cleanse all debuffs. So again, best healer for PvE. You can just use Montmorency for this one. Montmorency should be enough. Then Bellona again, because the boss is not immune to decreased defense and Spectre Tenebria in the back. So the Bellona was there to decrease the defense and AoE attack for all the enemies, and AoE decreased defense, which makes it really freaking nice to have an AoE defense break. The other one, the whole point was to be able to single target damage, and that's what the Spectre Tenebria is for. I would save the ultimate, or make sure I got the ultimate before I killed Secretary Vera. On the first stage, make sure I have the ultimate, decrease defense with Bellona, keeping the 3rd skill up to be able to do that consistently, and having the artifact to make it 100%, and decrease defense of Secretary Vera, and then just coming in and whacking him and being able to just beat him. So that was my team for that one, and I was able to clear it pretty easily once I figured out the mechanics. So what can you do? So again, Ross is nuts in this one. He probably is better than Lilius, because even though he can't dispel buffs, he can't dispel debuffs. He can dispel the buff of the 3rd stage Secretary Vera because he spawns with immunity, so it makes it a faster run. He can also apply decreased defense and dual attack with someone, so it lets you get through the stages faster and lets you be able to kill the boss quicker. And last but not least, ultimate, again, sustain, increased defense will go a long way in this fight, because the boss does do a lot of AoE damage that you have to be prepared for. So having Ross, having that AoE skill to hit all the eggs, hit the Secretary Vera, and give your team increased defense, that's invaluable in the first stage. That honestly, right there, if you beat the first stage and the second stage, the third stage, you already won. So other really good heroes for this fight. Again, so that one's fine. Montmorency in place of Tamarine. Your team will be a lot healthier. Your team will have a lot less debuffs, which is why she is the A star for free to play if you want to clear content with minimum investment in a healer. She's by far the best for the job if you want to just keep your team alive. The immunity helps a lot in this fight because sometimes the boss is able to stun, especially when he goes to the second stage. So yeah, make sure you have her. She's really, really good. Then this slot, again, Commander Lorena, really good. The only thing for this fight is your Commander Lorena can work, Soul Bad Guy can work, Mercy can work, anyone with insanely high single target damage to be able to kill the X fast. The last slot, I would give to someone with an AoE decreased defense who can do it consistently. This could be a Tywin. This could be, or you could even make your Tywin your knight. I don't recommend that, but you need to have 2 decreased defense characters for this fight. One will usually not be enough unless they have multiple decreased defense. So having any other type of damage dealer that can decrease defense, there are a lot of those. There are characters that can decrease defense. Elfel, actually pretty good for this one because increased crit, decreased defense, gives you sustain and can do high single target damage. So, people hate on Elfel, but she actually can actually do decent on this hunt. Charon, again, probably pretty good because he has good AoE. So even Charon has good single target damage. So even he could be your damage dealer if you have him. And overall, it's not too terrible. It just makes sure you have a decreased defense for stage 2. That's the big thing. That's the hardest part. So this one, any unit that has a decreased defense to make your run more consistent. If you don't, and you really just want to tank it out, you can put another healer here or another tank with another artifact, like maybe MLCC, that will help you sustain if you really don't want to deal with the second egg. But that's going to be a really hard fight if you guys do decide to do that. Whew. All right. Last but not least, Queen Azumashik. So this boss, I thought I was never going to clear it. And then I started reading the skills and I started understanding the boss more, and I was like, wait a minute. This boss is easy mode. So biggest thing with this boss, spawn in with 4 eggs that are all invincible. And basically when you hit her the first time, she AoE attacks your team and decreases all your stats, but it doesn't add a debuff. It just decreases your stats overall and spawns the first 2 eggs. And those first 2 eggs are going to be, not the Hornets, not Devourer Arahakan. I guess they are Devourer Arahakan. They're little Devourer Arahakan. I didn't think about it that way. Now that I think about it, they are mini Devourer Arahakan. So basically, they're little Devourer Arahakan who basically are really annoying because they can decrease defense, they can stun, and they can AoE attack you. So these are the first 2, and that's for her first half of her health, and their HP is connected to hers. And when they spawn, your whole team will get very random, nasty debuffs. So number one, you have to have a way to dispel debuffs, and at least, I would say 2, but 1 might be enough. I personally think 2 ways to dispel debuffs is really important for this fight because they can apply silence. And if they silence, if you have Montmorency and they silence and you have no other way to dispel debuffs, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do. You just lost the run right there. The other thing, and the other ones, one, you get her to 50% HP, which by that point, you should have killed those 2 Devourer Arahakan. The next point is the flying troops. Again, same thing. She spawns them, you get really nasty debuffs. You have to have a way to cleanse them up. You cleanse it, and then you're fine. And they add a lot of poison or bleed. I think it's bleed. They put a lot. Yeah, they put bleed. They put 1 or 2 bleeds. And every time you hit the queen while they're out, they will absolutely murk you because they will counterattack. Sometimes it's both of them, sometimes it's just one. And they will apply so much bleed that your units will just die. And the queen, when she hits someone and they get below 50%, she procs an AoE attack that hits everyone. You don't want this to be happening. It's not fun. The other thing that the queen does, once you get her past 50%, she starts using her ultimate again, which is an AoE attack that decreases your stats. So the second you get her to 50%, you're on a ticking time bomb. The other big mechanic that is a must-have for this fight is she gets an attack buff and a defense buff. that are so annoying and you have to dispel them. Because every turn she takes, if she has no buffs, she gets 2 buffs. If she has 2 buffs, they become greater attack buff. And if you don't dispel the greater attack or greater defense by 2 or 3 turns, I think it's 3 turns, it becomes permanent attack, permanent defense greater for 3 turns, and all the things get mad stats, and it's like GG, you lost the fight. So it's you need to have someone to dispel. So biggest things, dispel and remove debuffs. The team I personally use for this one, again, if you have her, you're going to be using her everywhere. Tamarine and Lilius. The background was different though. The backline was actually Champ C, who was the MVP of this whole fight. So I actually put Champ Z. And then the last one was Apocalypse Robbie, and she was not doing anything for me. She was just kind of chilling there, which is fine, you know. She'd be like that sometimes. So she just was there for like secondary damage and because she's beefy. Why did I pick beefy damage dealers in this fight, and why Champ C? So as I mentioned, the boss gives you debuffs at the start of the fight. For this one, I will pull the Lilius. Let me see if I can find there. Lilius, there she is. I haven't fully awakened her, so Lilius. So this was a team I used, and I was able to clear it pretty easily. Why? So Lilius, skill 3, has a cleanse. Again, that's really good for this boss because it just AoE cleanses everything. Tamarine has the second cleanse. She has a cleanse that's able to cleanse the whole team and increase combat readiness and increase attack, which is just amazing for this fight. Apocalypse Robbie was doing nothing except damage, which is like, it's cool. The other thing that Tamarine did is when she's in idle form, she can strip the boss. So that helped a lot to be able to strip those attack and defense buff, which are must strip. And last but not least, Champ C was there to get me past the first and second stage and just basically be able to win the fight. The one thing I will say about Champ C is, one thing I forgot to mention about the boss is when she has 3 or more debuffs, she takes an extra turn. So if she has 3 debuffs, she cleanses the debuffs, takes an extra turn with an AoE attack, which hurts a lot, but it's a risk you take with Champ C to be able to clear the initial stages faster, be able to clear the little monsters faster, because you apply so many bleeds to them. So it's a scary strategy to use, but I honestly was fine. Even though she took like 4 extra turns, because I got 3 bleed effects on her, she took the extra turn, did AoE damage, it was fine, my unit survived, so just make sure you don't bring too many debuffs. So that's another big thing. But the other thing he had is he had the artifact, which is Layla Violin. All mages can equip that artifact, and the big thing with that artifact is, again, it lets me be able to strip the buffs. So for a free-to-play player, what can you do? So again, I still think Ross is really good in this slot because he's able to, again, increase defense, lets your team stay above that 50% threshold, able to decrease defense, lets you kill the boss faster, and he can dispel buffs. Granted, it's not reliable, and you shouldn't just use him to dispel debuffs, but it's a start. In this slot, Montmorency, you can still use Montmorency. She's still the MVP. She's able to put immunity. She's able to remove a ton of debuffs that you will be getting. So again, really, really solid. Another really good healer that I actually might even recommend more would be like the Stina. Now, the last 2 slots are the ones that honestly, for this boss, I don't know how you could do it without Champ C or having someone that has being able to remove debuffs. One guy I had to do a lot of research on for you guys to try to see what the only free-to-play unit that you could bring to here that would be able to remove buffs and do a lot of damage is Soul Bad Guy, because his ultimate is able to dispel buffs. But then the last slot, it still puts you at a spot that's like you only have one reliable-ish way to dispel the buffs, one unreliable way to dispel buffs, which is still needed. It's still really nice to have. And then that leaves you your last slot. But right now, you still don't have a secondary AoE cleanser. But if you take a Destina, you most likely will lose. because it's just like, it's just not enough. Someone else who might probably be better is Deanne instead of Montmorency, because that way it gives you a way to have consistent ways to remove the debuffs, more survivability, attack buff. But honestly, Tamarine is just so good for this fight. Honestly, it's gonna be a challenge for me to figure out a way how to do it without Tamarine, because she just has such a reliable way to dispel buffs, which is the hardest thing in the boss. So let me tell you guys the one. The other one that I could honestly think that you could put in this slot would be like a Falconeer Cleary. And that's the one that I'm going to put here, because I think it's the only other option you free-to-play players have if you don't have Tamarine, if you don't have all these units. And it is very disheartening. I hate to say that, but this boss is considerably easier with a lot of the really strong units. Do I not have one? Yeah, I think I fought in mine. So yeah, Falconeer Cleary. So Falconeer Cleary is able to heal. She's able to dispel the boss's buffs, and she's able to apply a decreased defense. So honestly, I would put, on this last slot, I would put Falconeer Cleary. And then this will give you a pretty good team to be able to clear Azimak Queen. Again, it's the most free-to-play team you guys have right now, and it's probably the best bet you have as a free-to-play who doesn't have Tamarine, who doesn't have Deanne. Because honestly, you could just put Deanne in that slot and you'd be absolutely fine. You basically have to pray that your Montmorency, she has high effect resistance, so you have to pray that she doesn't get the worst debuff, which is like silence, which there's a very low chance for you to get. But if you get it, your run is basically over, because you have no other way of sustaining. You have no other way. It's just a little bit riskier, and I hate to say that. But again, if you have another one, I think someone who, like, if you could have another person who could cleanse, like a Deanne to be able to cleanse, that's why Deanne would be really nice in that slot. But then you miss the factor of being able to dispel the boss's buffs. So it puts you in a pretty hard stage. The other thing you could do is change the Ross out for the Falconeer Cleary, and then you can put another damage dealer, and then just go balls to the wall, or put another healer like the Stina, or then you Doctor, which I will be talking to you guys about tomorrow. But that is all I have for you guys today. This video has been an almost 40-hour-minute video. I would love to show you the stats, but then it would be like a 45-minute video, and my voice is about to give out. I haven't been talking for a long time. Oh yeah, Charles, that's what I forgot. If you have a Charles, really good for this stage as well, because Charles S2 is able to remove, he's able to attack. So instead of him, you could put a Charles. So you want them to be pretty beefy though, because you don't want to get below 50%. My bad, that's an afterthought. But that is all I have for you guys today. I am exhausted, I am tired. In summary, there are a lot of units you can use. Overall, Hell Raid, Hell difficulty, if you have level 85 gear on all your units, it's really easy. You should be able to clear it. You may be able to clear all of it except the Queen, and that's fine. I believe everyone can clear everything except the Queen. Some of them are kind of some stat checks. It's whether you have the stat check or not. The only one that's kind of a unit check is going to be the Azumashik Queen. But that is all. Let me know down in the comments what you think. If you have questions, reach out to me in Discord, join the Discord. But that's it. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.